So now let's go to the genre painting. So this is very important development in Korean painting. So after the Imjin War, Korean people start to have a little bit of awareness of their own reality. And then one of the realities is there are growing gaps or growing conflicts among social classes. So people who are merchants, they belong to this Jungin class, right? But sometimes they are wealthier than Yangban, like impoverished Yangban families. Obviously, they are wealthier than peasants. Or on the other hand, you also have people who are peasants, but they are very hardworking and start to accumulate like a small fortune, and then they have like a local houses, and they grow their own wealth. But if they don't have any what is it, the noble lineage in their older generation, then they cannot have that power in the neighborhood. They are always a bit ignorant, wealthy, but no social connections. So during right after the Imjin War, what happens is families of Jungin or sometimes wealthy peasant families, they want to get married to impoverished Yangban family so that their children can claim certain type of social connections. And then if their children, like grandchildren, if they study well, then they can go to government, right? Work as government officials, and they will enhance the family honors. So that was the idea. So people are, aware or more conscious of those growing gaps between social classes. And then so here it's an example of the work, but as you can see, a man in long tobacco pipe, and then he had a big cut, right, like that top hat for Yangban family. And then he's like a reclining, right? You can see the reclining made of that rice stalks right here, right? And then he was drinking rice wine here, having a good time. His shoes taken off, and then he is observing or watching what workers are doing. So these are peasants or even slaves, poor farmers, and they are working really hard. But this is a painting by Kim Hong-do. So here you can actually see smiling faces, and in a way they enjoy working, but working hard. So what is interesting is in the 18th century, you are going to see this type of subject matter, that is everyday life, as main subject matter of the painting. Previously, as we've studied in Angyun's case, landscape like this is called the ideal landscape. It doesn't exist in real world. It is a composite images of Chinese landscape or Chinese classical formula of landscape. So it's not photographic or realistic, but they follow these conventions, right? You have a beautiful, like a foreground, the middle ground covered with water, and then you have the disappearing, like far distant views, together, that constitutes the landscape. But in late Joseon Dynasty, you are going to see a number of paintings like this, and that became quite popular among royal patrons and among Yangban patrons. And as you can imagine, even not so well-educated people could have enjoyed this kind of subject matters. And there is a sense of humor in these scenes of everyday life. So we talked about the types of painters, right? So An Gyun, for example, he was a court painter. Kim Hong-do, that we are going today, is also a court painter. So if there had been three 제, like a 겸제 정선, and then 현재 심사정, and then 공제 윤두서, if we had like a three 제 artist, we also have a three one artist, and they are all professional artists. So Danwon Kim Hong-do, whom we are going to study, and the Haewon Shin Yun-bo. So Kim and Shin were equally good. And then Oh-won Jang Seung-up came much later. He didn't actually meet any of these people, Kim and Shin, because they already passed away. But Jang Seung-up was a renowned court painter who lived a very tumultuous period of late 19th century. Kang Se-hwang, remember, like we talked about Kang Se-hwang, the artist advisor. So a celebrated artist and critic of the 18th century, noted of Kim Hong-do, the genre painting, I will say, quote, all the activities of people's daily lives, street scenes, ferry crossings, stores, scenes of civil examinations, those who witnessed his work could not fail to cry out and clap in wonder at each brush stroke, unquote. So in a way, Kim Hong-do was a very good observer of real people's movements and activities, and it also has a sense of humor. So during this time, there are different court painters. For example, Lee In-moon was a contemporaneous to Kim Hong-do, but Lee In-moon didn't paint genre painting. He painted mostly this type of ideal landscape painting, but this is a colossal work. How long this is? It is almost 9 meters long, so it's only a segment of it. So it looks like it's never ending. So it's actually without end. So there are so many mountain valleys and peaks in this painting, over 8 meters long. So we have this type of magnificent landscape painters, but then we have a Kim Hong-do. So hold on, let me just move it a little bit up. So Kim Hong-do was good at all types of painting. So he was in a way a genius painter. He was very good at portraiture, landscape, literary subject matters, like a Chinese literary subject matters. But he also painted ordinary people's lives, not as a main subject matter, but on the side. But what remembered in people's memory is his 풍속 파첩, like a people's lives. And we have one album with 25 leaves at the National Museum of Korea. He has other bodies of work, but this is what we remember most. So he participated in many projects, and this is why the court needed the court painters to begin with. Portraiture is by far the most important genre, and they also needed many copies of portraiture. And then they will make a banquet illustration or screen paintings, because rooms, hundreds of rooms in the court, they cannot remain barren. They should be decorated some, right? So they made screen paintings as well. So I will show you first his portraiture. This is Seo Jik-soo. Seo Jik-soo was a high-rank official, and it was a present by the king to Seo Jik-soo. So it was actually sent by King Jeongjo. Kim Hong-do was ordered to make this portraiture by King Jeongjo to honor Seo's loyal service to the court. So here he is dressed his regular indoor robe. He's not going outside. He is in his own library. And then he has a 정자관, like this indoor hat. So it's not the cut that you usually see, right? Like it's an indoor hat, and then his white long robe. And then he doesn't have shoes on because it's indoor. So here he collaborated with Lee Myung-gi, his assistant. So maybe face is Kim Hong-do's work. And then what is it? The robes are more like Lee Myung-gi's work. And this takes a long time to complete, like several times with the small strokes. And then he's also an old man. You see a little bit of sagging eyes, so those are described well by Kim Hong-do. So Seo Jik-soo's descendants were very pleased to have this portraiture. So Kim Hong-do is good at all kinds of subject matters.